I am Dr. Malia Jensen, and welcome to Dr. J's Prescription for Health. I'm your host. I want to start out by thanking you for being here this morning with me today, and I just want to acknowledge you. So where are you listening from? What city, what state, what country? I think when you spend time on these live streams with me on Saturdays and Sundays, it tells me that you're investing time in yourself, and I think that's pretty cool. So today, I'm thrilled that you showed up or are showing up because you and I are going to have a great conversation. We're going to dive into a topic that I think you guys will like. Yesterday, we spoke about cardiovascular disease, and I think that that's all right to speak to that again, but we can move on a little bit, but go ahead and ask your questions. But you've likely heard, before we dive into today's topic, you've likely heard me talk about the medical, I call it buffoonery, that we've been fed for years. And my mission is to help make sure that you guys are never bamboozled by the buffoonery again. So taking a vested interest in yourself, becoming your own doctor, so to speak, is, I think, important. So knowledge is power, you guys. Good morning, Vivian. Thank you for being here. Where are you guys listening from? What city, what state, what country? We are going to dive in. Heathen, I'm not sure about your question on methylene blue for parasites. That I'm not sure. You're listening from Idaho. Thank you. Thanks for being here. I wish I knew the answer. Methylene blue is a topic that I'm not well versed in, and I don't think that it would be good for me to speak to it and maybe make stuff up or say something that I really don't know. Good morning, Angel. Thanks for being here. Angel's listening from New York City. What part of New York City are you in? If you don't mind my asking, I don't want to. I've been there a few times. I might know where you're talking or where you're listening from. Yeah, God bless you too, Heathen. That I appreciate it. So speaking about thyroid today, I want to make sure the Bronx. Okay, Angel's listening from the Bronx. All right. Where should we begin when talking about thyroid? I think we should start out by how we test for thyroid. How do we test for a thyroid disorder? What are important markers that you need to check in order to get a good indication of your thyroid health, okay? Number one, a TSH. Now, remember, TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone. It is not a thyroid hormone. It's actually a pituitary hormone. It's a pituitary marker. So it's in the anterior pituitary, the TSH. The next thing you want to get is a free T3, a free T4, a reverse T3, and a TG, thyroglobulin, and a TPO. Those TG and TPO are the antibodies that you want to check. It is important that you get all of those, not just some of those, because without all of them, you're at a disadvantage for interpreting whether or not your thyroid is healthy or not. Now, you can get an idea, but it's just not very accurate. So you could have symptoms, and your physician will check a TSH and say, it's in the normal range or in the reference range. You're good. I don't know what's causing your problem. But you know that you're tired, your skin is dry, you're constipated, your hair's falling out, you just don't feel well. Your energy sucks. So you know something's going on, but your doctor seems to think that nothing's going on because all they did was look at your TSH. Now, let's discuss from an anatomy standpoint how this all works. My hair is still wet from workout, so I apologize. It's okay, so let's talk about how this all works. Our brain, the anterior pituitary, will secrete thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH. TSH comes out of our brain, and then it feeds our thyroid, which sits in our neck. The thyroid is responsible for secreting or making all of the T4. All of the T4 is made in your thyroid, okay? 100%. And about 20% of your T3. So 20% of the T3 is made in the thyroid. So where does the other 80% come from? The other 80% of T3 comes from the conversion of T4 into T3 in the periphery. That occurs in areas like the liver, which is the main area, kidneys. Where else would it be formed from? I'm trying to think. Liver and kidney. Liver is the main site of conversion, I will tell you that. The gut. The gut is another area. That's right, the gut. So those three main areas is where T4 is converted to T3. Now, it's important to know that your free T3 level. What if your T3 level is maybe it's in the reference range, but you're still having problems? So you get a TSH, it's in the reference range. You get a T3, it's maybe on the low end or the normal end of the reference range, but you're still having problems and you still don't know what to think. You think you got thyroid symptoms, but you're not sure. The reverse T3 will tell you a lot. It tells you a lot, okay? If your body is under stress, if you have a chronic illness, if you are on a low-calorie diet, if you have insulin resistance, if you have metabolic syndrome, if you have high cortisol, which goes along with the stress, you don't have the ability very well to convert your T4 to T3. And instead, the T4, remember the 100% T4 is supposed to convert to the T3 in the periphery. But there's another option. You see, the free T3 is the active. I would say it's the gas pedal. Whereas if your T4 is converting to if your T4 is not converting to T3 very well, it will be converting to reverse T3. Reverse T3 is like the brake. It's like the shutdown, okay? And when reverse T3 is elevated, you get all of the symptoms of thyroid, like your depression, hair loss, constipation, dry skin, hair falling out. Those are the symptoms of hypothyroidism. So your doctor could say, no, your free T4, your free T3 are fine because they did agree to get those two, but they didn't get a reverse T3. Reverse T3 is very important because there are some things that will decrease that conversion, okay? And I think that's important. Your TSH can look normal. So we talked about the full thyroid panel. If, let's just say you got the full thyroid panel, you got the TSH, you got the free T3, the free T4, the reverse T3, the TG and the TPO. If the TG and the TPO are 0, then you don't have antibodies to your thyroid, okay? If your reverse T3 is elevated, it would get me to look further. I'm going to get an insulin level. I'm going to get an A1C. I'm going to get an iron and a ferritin and a transferrin and a TIBC and a saturation. I'm also going to get a red blood cell zinc level, an RBC selenium level. I might get an iodine level. Those things, if they're off, are going to throw off your reverse T3. So in other words, everything else looks fine except for reverse T3 is elevated. It's on the upper limits of reference range or even higher. And that's going to trigger me to look for some other stress, chronic illness. I'm going to ask about your diet and see if it's low calorie. I'm going to check for insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. I might check for iron deficiency or iron dysfunction. I'm going to check for SIBO, which is small small intestine bacterial overgrowth, because that's causing gut irritation, which is inflammation. So any type of inflammatory condition is going to trigger more reverse T3 than T3. Make sense? Then I can work on all those chronic conditions. Instead of just giving you medicine, I'm going to tell you what you can fix without taking medicine. Make sense? Hopefully it does. All right. Now, how is it that the liver converts T4 to T3? When it's working well, your body's working well, that it's not under extreme stress or inflammation, your body's working well, most of the conversion of T4 to T3 occurs in the liver. And that is because the liver contains high levels of something called D1, type 1 D1 actually. It's the deiodinase. You don't need to know that. You can just say D1, but it is the enzyme responsible for converting T4 to T3. And like I said, 80% of the T4, or that's 80% of the T3 is going to be converted in the periphery, with the liver being the number one site, okay? Now, what could throw a wrench in the liver not doing very well? Not converting that T4 to T3 very well. Anything that's disturbing the liver, right? If the liver has fatty liver or cirrhosis or chronic inflammation, that is going to suppress the D1 activity, that enzyme that's going to help convert T4 to T3. So if your thyroid is not working very well, right? You have symptoms, everything looks good, but you could have a reverse T3 that's high. You have to look toward the liver too, right? If we're looking toward the liver and the liver has got fatty liver, or the liver's got cirrhosis, or the liver has some sort of chronic inflammation, even iron overload, you're not going to convert that T4 to T3. Good morning, Lucy. We're going to put that one in timeout, I'm sure. Lucy and Uncle Charlie. Lucy, yesterday, Uncle Charlie volunteered to be a moderator, and I accepted. So he is going to help you today. Sorry for being late. I'm on a flight from New Orleans. Just got Wi-Fi. Thank you for being here, Lucy. I really appreciate it. So you and Uncle Charlie can help me out here. There was one I just read that I thought was inappropriate, and it's been inappropriate on many of my live streams. So, okay. All right. So now we went through the TSH, the free T3, free T4, the reverse T3, TG, and TPO. Are there other things that can throw this whole conversion process off and lead to your symptoms of like hypothyroidism? And the answer is yes. There's critical nutrients that play a role. And I went over those because I think when we're checking labs, besides just for thyroid, I guess I failed to mention liver function. So you want to get liver function enzymes. So you're checking for metabolic syndrome with an insulin and a A1C. You're going to check iron regulation or dysfunction with an iron, a ferritin, a transferrin, a TIBC, and a saturation. But when it comes to critical nutrients for the thyroid to really work, we have to make sure that you have selenium. Now, you don't need a whole bunch of selenium, of course. You just need, a certain amount. By the way, this is why I don't think just taking supplements is the way to go. We need to check levels because you could overdose on selenium and cause even more problems. But why is selenium important? Selenium is important because without selenium, the D1 inside the liver doesn't work to convert the T4 to T3. So you need a certain level of selenium. So getting an RBC selenium is very important. Okay. Where do you get selenium? Where do you get selenium? Brazil nuts. Probably one Brazil nut a day would put you in the level of where you need. Some sources will say 1 to 2 Brazil nuts per day, depending on the quality of the Brazil nut. Okay. Sardines are another one. I'm sure I'm getting enough selenium via sardines. Tuna is another one. I don't eat as much tuna as I do sardines, but that's always an option. Zinc. RBC zinc, getting an RBC zinc level. Zinc is important because it regulates the D1 as well, which is in the liver. That helps, the D1 is what helped convert T4 to T3. So we need selenium, you need zinc working good, you need iron working good. Iron is needed to generate T4 and T3 in the first place, in the thyroid. So if you have a low iodine level, which most people do, you should check the level first, but I'm guessing that most people do, okay? And that lack of iodine will even stop the production of your hormones. But here's the thing, you checked your hormones and the T4 was pretty good and your T3, free T3 was pretty good. Is it an iodine problem? Still could be. But you wouldn't necessarily want to take iodine if you didn't check your selenium level. I know that sounds complicated, but it is something that that comes up because if you have high iodine, so you started supplementing with iodine, and you don't have enough selenium, it's going to trigger inflammation. So it's going to trigger oxidative stress. It's going to trigger things going on in the thyroid cells that you didn't want. And so that's another way that your thyroid is going to convert T4 to reverse T3 instead of T3. Whoa. I'm walking through this and talking, and I know what I'm saying, but I'm not sure it's clicking with you guys because it's that complicated. And if you're just hearing this for the first time, I understand that this can get complicated. So let me take a step back and let's review. When we check our thyroid hormones, we don't just check a TSH, which is produced in our anterior pituitary. It's not enough. It does not give you enough information. Our thyroid, it will produce all of the T4 and some of the T3, okay? It needs iodine in order to produce the T4 and some of the T3, okay? Now, the rest of the T3 comes from a conversion of T4 to T3 in the periphery. But if something is going on in your body that's not healthy, chronic inflammation, a disease like insulin resistance or whatever it is, you will convert, instead of T4 to T3, it'll convert T4 to reverse T3. It's a way to shut down and put a blanket on your body. It's like the brakes. Oh my gosh, we got to conserve energy. We got somebody's fighting over here. Let's shut this down a little bit. And so when reverse T3 goes up, you can have the exact same symptoms of hypothyroidism. Even weight gain, fatigue, your BMR goes, your basal metabolic rate goes down, hair loss, depression, dry skin, hair falling out. I said that. So there's a lot going on with the thyroid, and you could say, gosh, my thyroid is off. I'm going to give myself some iodine. Whoa. Put the brakes on that. Check a selenium first. Okay, if selenium is low and you put all this iodine on board, and it's not a lot, I'm talking 4 or 5 drops. It might not do anything. But if you went and listened to some other physician and they say, do 25, 30 drops, and you don't have enough selenium on board because your diet sucks, which is the reason why your thyroid sucks anyway, but let's neither here nor there on that. But like I said, if you are doing this, iodine and not looking at your selenium, then you trigger more reverse T3. And it's called something when we have excess iodine shutting down the thyroid. It's called Wolff-Chaikoff effect. Not that you have to know that, but it spikes reverse T3, which is the brakes, which is causing all kinds of problems. Okay? Whew. Now, my point is, it's very important, instead of just going blindly supplementing things. Okay, Lucy, thank you for letting me know. Safe travels here for you, okay? Yeah, Lucy says 1 Brazil nut per day. Make sure it's organic, as they are full of heavy metals. I mean, all plants grow in the ground, and the ground is full of heavy metals. Our ground is terrible. Our topsoil is not well. So anything that grows in the ground has a chance to be heavily populated with heavy metals. Hopefully, if you get organic, there's going to be less pesticides and insecticides and all of that on there. But yeah, I choose not to eat any nuts, or for that matter, any plants. Now, we need iron. So I said we need selenium. I said we need zinc. We also need magnesium. We also need B vitamins. And we also need iron. We need iron to generate T4 to T3. Okay? Here's where it gets a little messy. Here's where it gets a little messier. If we need iron to generate T4 and T3 in your thyroid, what could possibly happen to iron that it's not available to make T4 to T3, or T4 and T3 in the thyroid? What could be going on? Could you be taking in too much vitamin D? What would that have to do with it? Well, if we have too much vitamin D on board because you didn't check, you just started supplementing it, too high of vitamin D can lower vitamin A. Too low of vitamin A will cause copper to go too low. If you have too low of copper, it will drive iron into the liver, and it will get trapped there. Now, also recall that vitamin A is needed. So you gave too much vitamin D, and now vitamin A is low. And you need vitamin A in the liver to make ceruloplasmin. That is the copper-carrying protein. And ceruloplasmin has what we call a peroxidase. And that converts stored iron to iron in the blood that we can use to help our thyroid. So simply by taking in excess vitamin D, we've lowered vitamin A, we've lowered ceruloplasmin, we've lowered copper, and we've driven iron into the liver where it's trapped now and cannot be in the bloodstream and used for hemoglobin and for thyroid production, just simply by giving too much vitamin D. Also, for those of you who take zinc, you take vitamin D, you take zinc, and you take vitamin C. All of those will cause low copper. Low copper drives the iron into the liver where it can't be used, and now your thyroid. So you can see that I can get all the labs on your thyroid, and they can look normal, yet we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. This is why it's important not to just blindly supplement without checking levels. You might not need anything. You might not need anything. And if you overdo it, most people say, oh, you'll just pee them out. It's not a big deal. But what if it's not? I don't know, but what if it's not? That's all I'm saying. We got a long history here, one other caveat that I want to bring up. This is actually a good one. What if you're a vegan? What if you're a vegan? And remember, you only get vitamin A from animal products, right? So as a vegan, you get your vitamin A, so to speak, from beta carotene. But you have to convert beta carotene into vitamin A, and it requires an enzyme. So you break down beta carotene to get it to vitamin A. It requires an enzyme to break it down. And that enzyme is called BC01, BCO1, beta carotene O1. That's the enzyme. Guess what? BCO1 is thyroid dependent. So if you're a vegan and your thyroid's not working very well, you got high reverse T3 because you're inflamed all the time, you can't convert your beta carotene to vitamin A. And guess what happens to the beta carotene? It builds up in your body and it shows up on your skin and you turn what color? Yellowish orange. Crazy, right? All of this stuff. Our body is so wonderfully made that we as a human tries to go and mess it up. So this was a roundabout way in talking about the thyroid and how we should test it and how the thyroid functions and why critical nutrients are important, why all of our chronic diseases can increase reverse T3, which puts the brakes on our thyroid, and then we can get symptoms. So we should not leave information on the table and not get a reverse T3 or a TG or a TPO. Make sense? Richard says, eggs, tuna, sardines, beef liver, high in selenium. Thank you. Thanks for adding to that. I appreciate that. Nam says, hello, I am always tired, but I have insomnia. Are there any supplements you would recommend for me? No. But I would recommend that you find out why you're tired. Are you getting 7 hours of sleep? Are you spending at least 60 minutes of that 7 hours in a deep sleep? Are you spending at least 90 minutes in REM sleep? Maybe you need to get a sleep study. Maybe you need to get an Oura ring or a fancy watch that kind of tells you about your sleep. I would also ask, why do you have insomnia? Are you eating too close to bedtime and your insulin level's high? Insulin raises your sympathetic nervous system. You get anxiety, your heart rate goes up, your body temperature goes up, and you have insomnia. So before recommending any supplements, which I usually don't anyway, I would try to fix the root cause of why you're tired, which is obviously the insomnia, but then again, why are you having insomnia problems? We have to look into it. Could it be thyroid? Yeah. Could it be insulin level? Yeah. That's insulin resistance, which is, underlying diabetes, chronic inflammation, get a CRP, get a homocysteine level. So before we go and check all these things, find out the root cause. Downtown says B12 ? Iron deficiency ? Okay, what is the question? I don't understand the question. So help me out. I would be happy to answer it if I know what the question is, even if I know the answer. So Lucy says, I have a friend who's dealing with pins and needles, neuropathy on both feet. He is not diabetic. What could be the reason for this? It could be B vitamins. It could be thyroid. Actually, it could be thyroid. Okay. I would still get I would get a magnesium. I would get RBC selenium and RBC zinc. And I know, you guys, those are really expensive markers, but they're just more accurate than just getting a serum level. So you're actually getting the selenium and the zinc and the copper measured inside the red blood cell, which is more accurate, more expensive and more accurate. So, Rob says, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Not seen you online for a while. Hope you're good. I am good. Thank you for asking. And I'm here every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central. So you might just be missing me, Rob. Rob says, what do you recommend for some energy? See, this goes back to the exact same thing, is if you need to take something for energy, what is it that's causing a lack of energy? We are so bamboozled, I think, that today's health system has bamboozled us into thinking that we need to take something in order to function in a healthful way, whether that be a prescription medication or a supplement. We have been cultivated to think that way. And I want to undo that, you guys, and start thinking about what caused the problem that you think you need a supplement or a medicine for. Keep peeling back the onion and figure out, what is it, Rob, that is causing your low energy? If you're only sleeping 1 hour a night and you think, I'm just going to take some electrolytes, you're actually just, you're poisoning your body, and it's just not going to function. It would be like it would be like you have your foot on the gas pedal and the brake at the same time, and you're expecting your car to move forward. It won't. It won't move forward, and eventually the engine's going to burn out. So instead of just taking something for energy, find out why you don't have the energy. What is going on? Okay. Eric says, I have sleep apnea. Are there options besides CPAP? Of course, there are options besides CPAP. What is the cause of your sleep apnea? Are you overweight, obese? Do you have a large tongue, fatty tongue? Fatty tongue is from high insulin, just like fatty liver is from high insulin. Is your neck large and huge with a lot of soft tissue? That's basically closing in on your breathing tube, okay? So it would be in Eric's best interest to take these things into consideration. He may not be obese, but he's got a large neck that's with a lot of soft tissue. For instance, a bodybuilder, they're not obese. The BMI might say they're obese, but they're not obese. They're very lean with a lot of muscle. They have huge necks, a lot of soft tissue, closes in on their breathing tube, and then they have symptoms of sleep apnea, snoring, gasping for air in the middle of the night. They might also have a large tongue because they're eating a ton of carbohydrates, which spike glucose, spikes insulin. Insulin causes fatty liver and fatty tongue. So even though they're lean, they can still have fatty liver and fatty tongue. The fatty tongue closes off the spot in the back of your mouth, and you just get it up, you get that up a little bit higher where the collapsing is occurring. So, all right. The CPAP is just basically blowing continuous positive airway into this pressure to blow open the space. If you were to lose weight, drop insulin, your tongue's going to shrink down, your tissues are going to shrink down, the inflammation is going to shrink down. Right? Okay. Let's see. That was a good question. Good morning, 1910. Linda says, what dietary changes could help relieve psoriatic arthritis? Any diet that is anti-inflammatory. Yeah, Lara, it's Laura. Is it Laura? I can't remember. Is it Laura or Lara? I'm hopefully not disrespecting you. I think it's Lara, but I can't remember. Never heard of the tongue. Yeah, fatty tongue is huge. It's a big thing. People just don't look. They just think that's normal to have a big tongue. Yeah, I got a big tongue. No, it's a fatty tongue. You got Wagyu beef. The tongue is a huge piece of muscle, and you got a Wagyu tongue. It's marble. It's muscle with marbled fat. So that's what your tongue is. So the dietary change for psoriatic arthritis is an anti-inflammatory diet. That would be, something that removes the sugar, seed oils, and processed foods. So get rid of processed foods, sugar, and seed oils. I would consider even getting rid of all of your plants. Plants are very inflammatory, despite what people say. Also, is skin tags safe to remove? Why do you have skin tags? Skin tags are a sign of insulin resistance. Get an insulin level checked. If your insulin is above 3 to 5, you likely have insulin resistance. Insulin resistance causes things to grow. So insulin, when it's high, is a growth hormone. It causes things to grow. Your cells grow, which is like keratin, which is a skin tag. You'll get little skin tags growing because that's a growth factor. Cancers grow. Your organs grow with insulin. Everything grows with insulin. All right? So skin tags are a for sure sign of insulin resistance. Lena, is it Lena? Yep, Lena says, what do you recommend for belly fat and weight gain in a short period of time? I would recommend checking your insulin level and your A1C and a high sensitive CRP and a homocysteine level. Check all of those. Check your thyroid. Check labs. In other words, Lena, check labs. You've got belly fat. Something is going on, and it's likely related to insulin. You're welcome, Eric. Thank you for being here. Richard said, should I stop with the fish oil and get caps for heart health? Richard, I would get your omega-3s, your essential omega-3s from food. I would do sardines and tuna and salmon, those things. I would not use an oil, and I would not use capsules. They are oxidized already, so they're rancid by the time you get them, and that's not a good thing. You don't want things that are already oxidized in a bottle, and then you put them in your body, you ingest them, and now you've already had stuff oxidized in before you even got it in your body and oxidize it. So you're going to oxidize it even more depending on your diet and depending on, what you're breathing in the air and all of the environmental exposure that we have. Yes, Lucy, skin tags is a sign of insulin resistance. Yep. Okay. What kind of a doctor am I? I am family practice. Eric says my tongue is large. Eric, I bet you have insulin resistance. I bet you probably have diabetes and just don't know it. So you have fatty tongue. Thank you. Everything is sugar related. It is, Lena. A lot of it is. I don't want to put everything in the sugar basket. I don't want to be a reductionist, although sugar and insulin is a huge factor. But there's other things, okay? But yeah, that is a very, very big one. Richard says that's the answer I was expecting. Thanks. You're very welcome. Now I'm okay. And Lena's listening from Lansing, Michigan. So are you going for Big Blue today? Actually, the men and the women basketball are in I'm going to say they're in the Final Four. I can't believe it. I'm a huge Blue fan, so you wouldn't probably catch me wearing anything with Iowa on it. Iowa State, yes, but Iowa, I'm not a fan. But boy, I was so sad for our Iowa men last night. I really wanted them to beat Illinois, but it is what it is, and we got another season, and that's why we just keep watching them. But yeah, today at 1:30, I think, the Michigan men play. And then tomorrow at 1:30, today's the men. And I think I have blue blood, not in my veins, just in my veins. I have blood that's blue. I was born in Michigan, so I don't know if you're familiar. Well, yeah, Michigan, anyway. Let's see. Nam says, I always feel tired because of my irregular work patterns. I take sleeping pills, but it doesn't work for me because I wake up often. Nam, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but your lifestyle with irregular work patterns is going to increase your risk of dying earlier than you expect. You cannot expect your body to work and not have a consistent circadian rhythm. You are hurting yourself. And you might answer me back and say, but I need the money. And I understand that. But is your health worth the money that you're supposedly making? Have you looked other places to make the money that you need in order to survive and thrive without causing a detriment to your health? Because I don't know, I worry about you, Nam, and that, you know, you're hurting yourself, and no amount of supplements, no amount of sleeping pills. I don't know what sleeping pill you're taking, but like Benadryl or Ambien or Dayvigo or something like that, you're actually increasing your risk of dementia over time. Any benzodiazepines, things like that. We don't have enough research on melatonin. We just, Nam, you're taking all these things to try to fit the supplements or the medicines into a poor lifestyle. I realize that people need to work a night shift. There has to be some people working a night shift, but those are also the people who have poor health. They're at very high risk of diabetes. And when they're at very high risk of diabetes or have diabetes, then they're at very high risk of having a heart attack, even if their arteries are not clogged up, okay? Oh, I'm a Dio. Thank you for asking. You just sound like, yeah, it's a long sleeve. It's a long sleeve shirt. So sweater, I had the sweater on the other day. So today it's supposed to be a little bit warmer here. So I was trying to prepare, but it's still cold. It's still 39 degrees. So, Eric says, I get blood work. Wouldn't they be able to see diabetes in that? No, they can't. They're going to pretend like they do. They're going to get an A1C on you, and that could be normal for the next 10 years. And in that meantime, you already told me you have a big tongue. You have insulin resistance. You'll have to get an insulin level to prove me wrong or right. Get an insulin level. Get a high sensitive CRP. If you have a large tongue and you have inflammatory diseases, Eric, your CRP is probably going to be high, and you're at high risk of having a heart attack, okay? When you have sleep apnea, you're at high risk of hypertension. Just the turbulence of having high blood pressure causes an injury to the lining of the arteries of your heart, of your neck, so to the brain, all of that. So you put yourself at very high risk of having a heart attack. And it really boils down to, Eric, what you're putting in your mouth. And it's maybe high tide that you say, you know what? I've heard Dr. Jensen and I'm scared. And I'm not trying to scare you, and I'm not trying to provoke you either. I'm trying to get you to think, if you hear me say what I'm saying, and it really doesn't matter to you, then I'm actually okay with that. I'm still okay that I gave you enough information that you are able to make a good decision for yourself, okay? I can't make a decision for you. I can't say, Eric, if I was you, I would eat a ketogenic diet. I can say that, but I can't get you to eat a ketogenic diet that's low in carbs, that will bring down your insulin, bring down your liver fat, bring down the fat around your neck, bring down the fat in your tongue, all of that by just lowering the insulin. You know, I would like you to, because I care, but I am not the one to make a change. I can't make you change. Only you can make you change. So you have to want it. If you say, you know what, I just want to enjoy my life and live my life and eat my food and do the things and live on the edge, then who can argue with you except for the people who are paying your health care? We all are, via taxes. Or you might have a wife and kids, and they want you to change. Or maybe they don't want to change either. Kids don't have any options, really. They just do what their parents do. So you're really setting a great example for your kids, okay? Lucy says, what does it matter, the letters after her name? She's more knowledgeable than many MDDOs, etc. out there, and none of them are here giving you free information. Well, that last sentence is true. The letters behind the names, you know, it doesn't it really doesn't matter, I don't think. It just tells you that I spent a crap load of money on higher education. That so basically I paid to get bamboozled by the buffoonery. I paid to get bamboozled by the buffoonery, and it worked. I took it hook, line, and sinker, and I spent the first 23 years of my career and medical school, which is another 4, and then 3 years of residency. So we're over 30 years of being bamboozled. And up until the last about 5 years, I've been trying to relearn everything. So I've gone back to medical school in my own home by learning all of these things. Do you think in medical school they taught us about the thyroid and how it produces T4, 100% of the T4 and 20% of the T3, and that the rest of the T4 makes the T3 in the periphery, especially no. They told us to check the thyroid by checking the TSH. If it's okay, you're okay. Forget if you have symptoms or not, because it's not about your symptoms. We're treating paper. We're treating numbers on a paper. So to get back to the point about the letters behind our name, I know some garbage men that are much smarter than half the doctors that I have read their progress notes. Okay? And you might be one of them that doesn't need any letters behind their name, because you could run circles around half the doctors because they've been bamboozled by the buffoonery and know only what they've been taught by whoever wrote the curriculum for the medical school, whoever writes the curriculum for the continuing medical education, and whoever pays the most money to get their things promoted over other things. And let's add the lobbyist in there too. So, all right, we got that down pat. You got to me, appreciate my health, and after years of taking care of others, I want to take care of me. Lara, that's perfect. That is me in a nutshell. That's why I first started center stage primary care. Center stage, put yourself center stage. Put yourself under the spotlight. If you take care of yourself and you are healthy, then you are able to take care of others around you, family, friends, coworkers. You need to put yourself center stage. My dad and I came up with that when he was still living. We came up with that 14 years ago because I was a bodybuilder, and he would always tell me to go center stage. Put yourself under the spotlight, because if you are center stage, you just won the show. So that was our thing. He would say, go center stage. Okay? He wanted me to go center stage in everything. All right. Eminem says, can you lose weight, or can losing weight cause skin tags? Yes. So Eminem lost 25 kilos, so nearly 60 pounds, 55 pounds. And yes, skin tags can just drop right off. You lower insulin and they just fall away. Awesome. You don't need any snippers. Alvin says, I have foot pain and can't sleep. Why do you have foot pain? Is the foot pain causing you to not sleep? Check out why you have foot pain. Nam says, thank you for your kind advice. I am Korean and I'm not good at English, but thanks to your advice, I think I will have to look back on my life again. So Nam, it doesn't matter if you're Korean or Japanese or Chinese or Americanese or whatever you are, it doesn't matter. Although I will tell you this, Southeast Asians have a higher risk of fatty liver, even though they are thin. So they are called thin on the outside, fat on the inside. Thin on the outside, so they look like they're lean, but they're fat on the inside. And the reason being is because of fat cell size and fat cell number. Southeast Asians have a higher tendency to have fewer fat cells. So they get disease faster than, say, a white person who's got lots more fat cells. So if you and I eat the exact same foods, let's just say we only ate ho-hos or ding-dongs or something like that. We ate the same amount. You could get, or a Southeast Asian could get fatty liver before me, because I have more fat cells to get fatter. So I'm going to get fatter on the outside maybe before I get fatty liver. Whereas a person with a lower amount of fat cells will get fatter faster, and it'll be on the inside. So they could look like they're lean, okay, but they're not. In fact, they can look very muscular because their muscles are actually taking up the fat. So they have Wagyu beef muscles, whereas mine, I got fat subcutaneously. Now, it's not to say I don't have fatty liver, it just might not be as bad as a Southeast Asian right away. So we eat the same amount of ho-hos. We eat 20 a day for 3 weeks, or let's just say 4 weeks, 1 month. A Southeast Asian is going to have higher propensity of fat liver than me, okay? Oh, thank you, Lucy. Thank you for a reminder. If you guys like what you're hearing and you want me to go over your labs, go over your medicines, go over your health history, I am available for consultations. Just email me at ironladydoc, IRONLADYDOC at AOL.com. ironladydoc@AOL.com. Okay. Richard says, I take ibuprofen PM, diphenhydramine citrate, 38 milligrams as a sleep aid occasionally. Good or bad practice? Taking any kind of medication is bad practice, okay, if we don't need it. So I would say, why do you need it? Occasionally. But here's the thing about diphenhydramine, which is Benadryl. Benadryl, over time, one, it stops working. Too much of something causes inactivity. But there are studies on all antihistamines that actually increase our risk of dementia. Okay? This is real, you guys. Anytime we take a benzodiazepine or an antihistamine, we are increasing our risk of brain dysfunction. So over time, no, I cannot recommend anything like that. I need you to figure out why you're not sleeping and have the need to take it. But, you know, Richard, the dose makes the poison. What is that saying? Who did that saying? Pythias, or it starts with a P, the guy's name. His theory, the dose makes the poison. Lucy, if you're online, oh no, you're not, you're traveling. Somebody online, I can't think of the historian's name. It starts with a P. It's not Pythagoras, it's, oh geez. He made that theory, the dose makes the poison. Gosh, can't think of it. Heathen says, what is in Ozempic? It is basically, I think, the spit of a type of lizard. And how it works is, it is essentially a bioidentical, or it's a lookalike GLP. So it looks like the GLP that we are normally should be producing in our body. So it is GLP. It's made from I believe from the spit of the lizard. It starts with a G. Oh, geez. See where I'm at right now? I don't want to say Gia monster, that type of lizard. That's, I believe, where GLP serum is made from. Okay, all of them. I think Mounjaro, Zepbound, Wegovy, Ozempic. Okay. AJ says, I'm from Southeast Asia. After the COVID vaccine, I get flu every 15 days, and it lasts 4 to 5 days. Sinus is frequent. What shall I do? You're confirming the flu. What is the flu? You know, sometimes our definitions do not align of what the flu is. But if you say, I'm getting sick every couple of weeks, you need to see your doctor and you need to get some testing done, okay? Long COVID is a problem. Spike proteins are a problem. I think it's going to need some more. I honestly haven't looked or done much reading on COVID or long COVID. as far as to give you any advice or any recommendations, but I would definitely do some research and figure out, how you might be able to decrease spike protein, how you might be able to decrease this COVID. I don't know what it's going to take. Is it, we talked about a couple weekends ago, I think, we talked about astaxanthin. And astaxanthin, I believe, it's an antioxidant. It comes from the C algae, different types of C algae. It's red. And I believe there are researchers right now studying astaxanthin, even for COVID, even for cancer. Okay. All right. Lucy, okay. Gunther asks, foot pain and bad sleep, wake up at 3 a.m., check pre-diabetes. I'm sorry, is there a question in there? I can't see it. Richard says, ibuprofen PM is going in the trash as we speak. Yes, Paracelsus. Yes, Swiss physician, alchemist, and one of the early pioneers of toxicology in the 16th century. That's him, Paracelsus. Thank you, Richard. Paracelsus. All things are poison and nothing is without poison. The dosage alone makes it to it so a thing is not a poison. Paracelsus, 1538. You guys, this is good. I remember studying it. I just couldn't remember all of the, at least I remembered it was Paracelsus and the dose makes the, or I remembered his name started with a P and the dose makes the poison, right? So a little bit of everything is poisonous. So arsenic is poisonous and cyanide is poisonous. And people say, well, I'm just going to do a little bit. So I'll just have a couple almonds. But then the 2 almonds turns into 10 almonds. And then again, the dose makes the poison. And now you're overdosed with cyanide and you die. So you have to decide that, am I going to even take the poison? In my book, I say, no, I'm not going to take any poison. I'm not going to even risk the almonds with cyanide. Okay? I'm not going to eat any plants and risk arsenic or cadmium. Richard says, crazy monster. Yeah, could be the crazy monster. It's the Gila monster. Thank you, Diane. Thank you. Gila. It's pronounced Gila monster. Okay, so that's the lizard, and we get this from its spit, the GLP from its spit. 1910. Did you just tell us GLP is made from the spit of the Gila monster? Gila monster. Yes, I did. Look it up. I could be wrong, but look it up. Okay. I appreciate you too, heathen. I'm saved. I'm a saved heathen, by the way. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm a saved, I mean, I don't think I'm a heathen, but anyway, I'm definitely saved. Jesus is just supplying me with a whole bunch of blessings right now to bless you guys. And then when he's ready to take me home, I'm going. I'll raise my hand. I raise my hand and say, come take me. But until then, I am a servant. And he says, his biggest commandment was to, for us, he commissioned us to serve others. And that's what I'm doing. I think I'm doing. That's what I want to do. That is my goal, is to give him the glory. It's not for me, it's for him. So everything I'm telling you, and if it is right, it's coming from him through me. If it's wrong, it was probably just coming through me and not him, because he's perfect and I'm not perfect. And that's why I need him to save me. Okay. BB, or bromelain, curcumin, black seed oil, black pepper, nattokinase. For what? For what? Oh, to get rid of the spike proteins. Okay. I can't, I don't know. Those are all plants. I'm just not into it. I suppose if you're going to take them for a short period of time, I would need to study more on that. But I do appreciate you bringing this up regarding the spike proteins. And here's another thing is, how do we check? Like, is there a blood test that says, ooh, you got spike proteins and you don't, that we can actually trust? I don't know. I go back and forth on all of this stuff, but I do know if people have symptoms, I would ask Is there any negatives to taking, I mean, truly negatives? I'm not just saying, no, doctor, there's no, if we take turmeric or curcumin, but I know for a fact that mixing, I know that you need black pepper to make curcumin or turmeric work, but when you put black pepper in, we are messing with some sort of seraphan or, oh, God, see it? Oh, geez. Oh, no. Guess what? Instagram just went out again. What do I do? Oh, geez. The people on Instagram are going to have a heyday with me. So I think sometimes that Instagram doesn't want me doesn't want me having live streams. It shut me down 6 times yesterday, you guys. Instagram shut me down 6 times yesterday. And I feel for these people over there. And I don't know what to do. Okay. You guys on Instagram, this happened yesterday. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're trying to shadow ban me, if that is a thing. But they kicked me off 5 or 6 times yesterday. And yeah. Thanks, Vivian, for joining back. I do apologize. I mean, there's nothing I can do. I don't know what's causing the skipping on the Instagram. So if it goes off, you guys, I'm on YouTube right now. I'm on YouTube live at Iron Lady Doc Malia Jensen. Sean says, is eating 4 eggs every day no risk for a heart attack? I think you're fine eating 4 eggs a day. It's all the other stuff that you eat. If it's processed foods, sugars, and seed oils, that's what's causing a heart attack. Or that's what's causing the inflammation, which could cause a heart attack. Tawan Sheree, do you agree with medical use of marijuana? I don't agree with any plants. So obviously, I don't agree with marijuana intake. There's going to be a lot of brain disorders in the future. But it's not really what decision you make. You shouldn't base it all on what I think, okay? You have to make a decision for yourself, but I would look into all of the negatives that are of plants and the toxins, the glyphosates, the pesticides and the insecticides, and the fact that what marijuana actually does in our body. Nothing is benign when you add in. Just because it grows naturally doesn't mean anything. Cyanide grows naturally. Arsenic grows naturally. Latex grows naturally. Okay? But that doesn't mean that you should consume them. Remove the skin from the almonds. Okay. That's fine. Now you'll get rid of the cyanide, right? I would ask, what are the purpose of taking what is the purpose of taking an almond? What nutritional value? Could it be lowering hormone levels in a man? Could soy be lowering testosterone? Are we causing estrogenic effects by eating plants, flax, soy, almonds? If I was a man, I would want as much testosterone as I possibly could have within the normal range, optimal range. Sean, almonds contain, I don't know if it's cyanide or arsenic, but it doesn't matter. Either one, I'm not going to consume almonds, but I would look it up. Okay. I do know that the skin contains lectins. That would be the reason I would remove the skin from the almonds, is to remove the lectins. Very, very inflammatory. Okay, Lucy, thank you. Okay, Uncle Charlie is here. Thanks, Lucy. $19.10 says, I think I made a pregnant gal at work feel bad about eating almonds. Yeah, sometimes our words can get, when we're so passionate about what we believe, 1910, and this goes for me too, the passion shows as ego. The passion shows as telling people what to do, and we sometimes will actually push them away It takes a really humble person that could hear you telling, so say it's me, you telling me at work not to eat almonds and you tell me why. And you care, but yet you're very forceful, say, and say, you know what, I don't even know why you're eating those. That's dumb. Did you know that it has this and this and this? And you're only hurting yourself and you're doing all these things. And why are you doing it? It takes a really humble person to go home, think about what you said 1910, and ask yourself if you really want to make changes. It'll take a special person to accept that level of you telling them how bad whatever it is they're doing. And so I learned this when I was learning about coaching and how certain people are coached different ways. It's called the pursuit of excellence. And certain coaches, when they're really, really good, they know how to coach certain personalities or certain people one way and another one another way. One might need a lot of coaxing and a lot of hand holding and a lot of pats on the backs and a lot of accolades to get them to respond to what you want them to do. Others need to be told in a different way, like, that was a mistake. Why did you do something like that? Could you have done something better? Blah, 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 blah. And that person will respond in such a way. But you wouldn't want to do that to a soft, delicate person because they will just crumble. The way that they're going to respond to do better at whatever sport or work or job or whatever, they need certain types of coaching. And a good boss or a good HR, human resource center, will know that because they've been trained on figuring out what kind of a person you are compared to your cabin mate, okay? Your cubby mate, sharing the desk with you. We all respond differently. We don't respond to the same types of coaching. And so 1910, figure out what kind of person she is. And she might be a person that you need to be gentle with, or you might need to be, she might need the kind of person that is basically just kicking her in the butt with your foot. They respond better to that. Okay. And you'll know who you are too. You'll know what type of person you are. And a lot of times, the way we respond to others is how we actually like to be coached. So the way you are displaying it is the way you like to be coached. And so you're displaying that exact same thing. It could be the opposite, of course, is you don't like that. You need soft accolades, and now you're rough on the person that you're trying to help. It can go both ways, but a lot of times the way you like to be coached is the way you're going to coach others. Okay. You know what, Togru, I don't know just about black seed oil. There are a lot of studies. There's a lot of research going on in regards to COVID and the COVID vaccine and side effects or not side effects. And there's been some studies on black seed oil. I'm not going to lie. I just don't know enough about it that I could give you accurate information. I would be doing you a disservice by talking about it. Joe is listening from Puerto Rico. So good morning. We don't have any Gila monsters or Gila monsters. We don't have Gila monsters. Well, they can ship it to you. Amen, 1910. Oh yeah, Lucy says, please like and share. I would appreciate that. And yes, I do have a store. There's a storefront and I have all kinds of gear in there. T-shirts, like T-shirts that say ignorosis, a condition of ignorance. I have Don't Be Bamboozled by the Buffoonery T-shirts and a whole line of that. I have aprons and sports bras. I have all kinds of stuff. It's at Fourth Wall Iron Lady Doc, and there's a link in the description. So Fourth Wall Iron Lady Doc, and check out my stuff. There's hats, there's stocking caps. What else is there? Mostly t-shirts, hoodies, things that I like to wear. So hopefully you'll like to wear them too. Oh, there's cups. There's coffee cups and tumblers. Some people have bought some tumblers. All right. Yeah, please like and share. If you're listening right now and you're not already subscribed, check and say, hit the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. You can always, if you don't like what I have to share, just get rid of me later. But right now, maybe hit the thumbs up and hit the share and hit the subscribe. Hit the hearts over there on Instagram. Are you guys still there? You guys listening over there on Instagram? Okay. Nam says, my sense of smell has become very weak since I got that COVID vaccine. Okay, somebody's getting me the heart over on Instagram. Thank you. Are there other people like me? Nam, I have come across a lot of people like you. A lot of people. So yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, but I think there's workarounds. I think you can heal yourself. BB says, get a D-dimer. It might not always be elevated. That's the thing. I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure on that. Yeah, that does put us at risk for blood clots, doesn't it? Very, very high risk of blood clots. Yeah. Okay, Lucy, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Drive to Engage says, I suffer from Hashimoto's TSH of 8. Whoa. Just so you know, you guys, I like that TSH under 2. When it's above 2, you're at very high risk of thyroid cancer. It's been 2 years, keeps fluctuating below 10. Can I still try reducing by changing food habits, cutting down completely on wheat, and not to start with hormone pills? Drive, you're really hurting your body right now. And you have to decide, it will take, just so you know, even if you went purely carnivore right now, it could take a year for your antibodies to come down. They'll still be elevated. So if you're checking them every 4 months, waiting for them to come down, they won't. They won't it could be a year, months to years for those antibodies to come down. They stay elevated. You need to get rid of all sugars, processed foods, and seed oils. All of those things come from plants. So I'm telling you to go plant-free. If you decide that you do need hormones, which you might, because you have a high level, okay? You have to decide whether you're just going to dose synthetic T4, which is Synthroid or levothyroxine. But Hashimoto's is very difficult to control by just watching the TSH. I would get the reverse T3 and the T3, free T3, free T4, and I would dose accordingly. You might need to take synthetic T3. You might want to take Armor or Nature Thyroid or NP Thyroid or WP Thyroid. Those are natural thyroid, desiccated thyroid. NDT is what they call it, natural desiccated thyroid. Those are some decisions that you're going to have to make, Drive. But in the meantime, with a TSH of 8, you're not only going to not feel well, but you're actually hurting your heart and other organs. So yeah, Lucy, it started yesterday on Instagram. I don't know. But Lucy, you've been on vacation, so I had some very controversial reels that went viral on Instagram and Facebook, and I think that put me in the watchful eye. It's not that they were controversial, it's just that I was giving information in regards to statins, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people that don't like that. And I'm just giving information, okay? Young says, I only eat cooked cabbage and broccoli. That's the only thing you eat. Where do you get your protein from? Where do you get your essential fatty acids from? Yeah, 1910, I agree. Paul, boy, he suffered a lot, didn't he? I mean, how many times did they try to kill him? And he just kept going on. In fact, some of his best advice was given from jail. I don't want to be in that position. I respect Paul for taking the hit for me, but my goodness, I don't think I want to go to jail right now or anytime in the future. I just don't think it would be appropriate or very appealing for me. Even if God said that this was going to be a place for you, ooh, God, are you sure? I think I would question it. I would probably say, please pass this cup away from me. Please pass this cup from me. If there's anything I can do, please pass this cup from me. Oh, Paul was oh my gosh. I think if there was one person from the Bible I could meet, it would be Paul, because I would say, how did you do it? How did you do it and not break down? Because I think I would probably break down. And he's going to answer. I have the strength of Jesus behind me. What do you recommend against early morning blood sugar spiking? Your early morning is when cortisol is being released. That's part of your natural tendency to wake up in the morning, okay? How fast does it come back down? And what is spiking? Like, how high is spiking, okay? I would also look at what you're eating before you go to bed at night. Oh boy, there goes Instagram again. I think we're just gonna leave it off, you guys. I just don't think we should continue to, God darn, that's too bad. I don't know what's happening over there on Instagram. They're shutting us down. I don't know why. Maybe the app and the live streams apps are not doing so well. Oh, BB, that is costly. $1,400 or more. Wow. Okay. Yeah, BB, I'm not sure that we can eat or consume anything that will cause our blood to be alkaline. You can't ingest something, take it through the gut and all of that, and then expect it to change our serum. I just don't believe in that. I don't believe in that hydrogen water or anything like that. But I could be wrong. What I believe might not be true. Yeah, Frankenweed. TW. Remember when cigarettes were legalized? And then when they took over, when the cigarettes couldn't make it, they just made sugar. So what do we eat? Animals. Yeah, Linda, I choose not to eat almonds. Sean says, so what's your opinion? More new cholesterol guidelines saying most acetate risk people need an LDL below 100. It's just one more move in the goalpost, Sean. If you believe in the lipid hypothesis of coronary artery disease, of a heart attack, then you're going to be right in line with believing and drinking the Kool-Aid with an LDL below 100. Okay? And if that's what you believe, then go for it. I used to be that doctor who believed that, and now I'm not that doctor who believes that. There are other things causing heart attacks. Treating LDL, I went into this extensively over the past now 9 days, and I can fight my side, my theories, my hypotheses. I will fight for them because I think they're true and accurate. Was bamboozled by the buffoonery, and now I'm no longer bamboozled by the buffoonery. Sean, what you said you don't know what to believe because you have basically decision fatigue. It is a thing, but you've been bombarded with two different sides. So you got the Dr. J saying, the lipid hypothesis is not all it's cracked up to be. And she thinks it's the thrombogenic hypothesis. And then you got all 90% of the doctors, 90% probably of the population still thinks that LDL is the cause of heart disease. If it were, and we're treating with all of these medications to lower LDL, why are heart attacks? Wouldn't heart attacks be non-existent? In all reality, the number one cause of coronary artery disease, of a heart attack, is diabetes or insulin resistance. High insulin, high glucose. And then add in the heavy metals, the alcohol, the smoking, the nanoplastics, all that stuff. Where in there is LDL? They're going to tell you that the LDL particle magically breaks down the glycocalyx. Then magically, because it's too big, it can't go between the endothelial cells. It has to go through them. So the cell is just going to say, oh, here's an LDL. I'll let you in. And then go ahead and creep all the way through the cell and go out the back door and start laying down plaque. I just can't get myself to believe that anymore. I cannot get myself to believe that an LDL particle collapsed the glycocalyx, went through the endothelial, one cell layer thick, went in the front door, intermingled inside, and then went out the back door without being seen. I'm not there anymore. I can't get on board. Now, if you told me this, that glucose, insulin, heavy metals, nanoplastics, smoking, alcohol, polyunsaturated fatty acids, iron overload, all of that injured the glycocalyx and injured the endothelial wall. Now I could see where things could pass through the endothelium. But an LDL didn't cause that damage. So, are you an in-betweener where, okay, I do believe that it could be LDL, but it's the oxidized LDL, the small, dense LDLs, that is the problem. They're getting embedded, they're sticky, they're getting eaten up, Pac-Maned up by the macrophages, causing foam cells. And foam cells are in the plaque formation. But the LDL isn't what initially caused, or the small, dense LDL, I should say, isn't what caused the injury. Because small, dense LDLs, for the most part, are made from eating carbohydrates. Small, dense LDLs will be in the presence of high triglycerides and low HDL. You see, the reason why LDLs, I believe, are the problem child, and they're not, is because they lack antioxidants like an HDL. HDL membrane has antioxidants, so it's more resistant to all of the outside environmental forces that are causing problems. Whereas an LDL, as it's dropping off all of its contents, that content, what an LDL had, was actually protective. Fat that's inside the LDL is protective, okay? That LDL is supposed to dump off its cargo and then be taken back to the liver where it's accepted and regenerated, so to speak, recycled. And the HDL does that. It's the delivery back. But what makes it so the LDL does not get picked up by those HDLs? One, there could be too many of them. Two, the liver receptors could be malfunctioning and they're not taking up anymore. So then the LDLs stay in the bloodstream longer and have a bigger chance to get oxidized. What is oxidizing them? Sugar, insulin, iron, heavy metals, polyunsaturated fatty acids, seed oils. So even if we had a bunch of small, dense LDLs, because they've stayed in the system too long, in the arterial system, they have to get oxidized by something to become eaten up by a macrophage to make a foam cell. Am I absolutely, positively sure this is what's going on? No. I'm just using a thought process. I'm continuously making hypotheses from information that I'm reading. And then I can eliminate some things like the size of an LDL, getting through junk, getting through gaps, or getting through the actual membrane. If an LDL can just knock on the door and say, hey, receptor, let me in, what would make sure that COVID couldn't do the same thing? Or Ebola? It seems like we would all just be dead, okay? It just seems like we would all just have heart attacks, because if it was all just LDL, we have never been successful at lowering LDL so low that we stopped heart attacks from occurring. Yet we will continue to do that. We'll change the guidelines and we'll scare everybody because everybody's afraid of having a heart attack. But in the meantime, you're using medications, certain medications that block certain pathways in our body that were meant there for a reason. So if you use an HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor, you're blocking the mevalonate pathway. The mevalonate pathway gives us CoQ10, it gives us vitamin D, it gives us vitamin K, it gives us GLUT4 transporters. So if we take certain medications and we don't have that pathway working, we increase our risk of diabetes or insulin resistance and dementia and muscle aches and pains and depression and Parkinson's. You know, yesterday I said, when was the last time you found somebody who had Parkinson's or some neurodegenerative disease? Ask them if they were on a statin. Ask them if they were on atorvastatin or simvastatin. Ask them. Those are the two that were the most prescribed statins all along. Okay? All along. And I would venture to guess, I'm just going to make this up. In my heart, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 of those people were on a statin, and it was either atorvastatin or simvastatin. They were on a statin. They were on Crestor or Pravastatin or Lovastatin. I'm actually 2 for 2 on my parents having this. Both of them were on atorvastatin. My mom has what they call Parkinson's, if that's what they call it. And my dad had progressive supranuclear palsy. Both of them are forms of degenerative diseases. Progressive supranuclear palsy leans more toward dementia. And Parkinson's, I mean, it's a neurodegenerative disease. So in my family, it's 2 out of 2. It makes me wonder, and I know it's not genetic, because it's 2 different diseases. I was on atorvastatin or simvastatin or Vytorin or Crestor, whichever one was sampled to me, for at least 25 years, I bet. And I don't know what my future has, but I know that as of about 3 years ago, I stopped taking them. And that's a scary thought, but there's nothing I can do except for keep the inflammation down. And if that means no sugar and no plants, because I don't want to live the way my parents are living. Okay? Is Malali is listening from Vancouver, Canada. Thank you. Lucy says that makes so much sense. How we like to be coached. Yeah. I mean, if you're in business, and I mean, I know how I like to be coached. Do you know how you like to be coached? Lana says, when you get your labs checked for cholesterol, what specifically do we ask for to find out whether it's the fluffy? Just ask for advanced lipid test, or another word could be NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance imaging, NMR. Get an NMR test, and that will decide your pattern B or pattern A. It'll give you the number of small dense LDLs and large fluffy LDLs. It'll give you so much information, getting an NMR. And for those of you whose doctor will not order them, email me and I will put an order in. You cannot use your insurance. You have to pay for it out of pocket, but it might be worth it. And I don't think an NMR is over $25, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember. Okay. But if you want me to check on that and send you where you can just go into a lab, you'll choose the lab. You'll have options to choose what draw station to go to. But I can do an order for you if your doctor won't order it. Okay? Yep, you're welcome, Lana. Thanks for being here. Yeah, that would be an option, is getting natural iodine from sea moss. Very true. But what if you're still low on selenium? I don't know how much selenium is in sea moss. Okay, and are we just going to eat sea moss? I don't know. There's so many questions that I wonder about, you know. Laura, thank you. My faith does mean a lot to me. So it's the reason why I'm here. I was born for such a time as this. I was diagnosed 5 years ago with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease as a result of fracking operation invading my drinking well on my previously organic farm. I have tried with everything I know to mitigate it with food. Laura, you get non-alcoholic fatty liver disease from high insulin. So you need to check your insulin level. It's fructose and glucose. Fructose from either high fructose corn syrup or from fruit. The more fruit and alcohol and glucose you consume, you will get non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, if you had chemicals from a fracking operation, that could be contributing to liver dysfunction, but non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and because of the name, so that we can eliminate alcohol as a cause, it would be fructose and glucose. Fructose even more so than glucose. Diane, I don't know the answer to that about black seed oil. I used to take it. I don't anymore. It was years ago. I took it for years, but I haven't for years. And then I started taking borage oil, and then I stopped that. Yeah, there's a lot. I'm more into just eating the natural foods. So I switched like to sardines or salmon or tuna and get my essential fatty acids that way. Sean says, then only advanced lipids I got done where LP little a, ApoB, and trying to find out in the UK where I can get this NMR advanced lipids. Yeah, if you only get an LP little a and an ApoB, you still don't know the size or the pattern of your particles. But I think, Sean, don't you have diabetes? I mean, if you have diabetes, or if you have high triglycerides, Sean, for the most part, I could almost predict that your small dense LDLs are going to be very high. If you guys have high triglycerides over 70 and HDL under 70, you more than likely have a lot of small dense LDLs. So you're at high risk of coronary artery disease, okay? No matter what your ApoB, your LP, you are high risk, okay? You are basically insulin resistant. You have metabolic syndrome, if not diabetes already, okay? Go Bulls. Okay, I'm great with that. I'm glad you told me that, Daniel. That's awesome. And you did it with a little smiley face and a big giant bicep, so that's cool. Okay. Diane says, cholesterol normal used to be 300 until Big Pharma came along. Big Pharma's been here for years, Diane. They're just changing the goalposts so they can sell more stuff. Yes, Daniel, they do play Michigan today. I knew exactly what you meant. Trust me. You say go Bulls and I say go blue. It'll be seen, but it turns into inflation now as a response. Okay, I don't know what that means. Yeah, thanks, Jack. I appreciate that. That's good. Okay. In and out. I used to live in Michigan too. I'll be right there, Tootie. Go lay down. That is the big question. If I am a phony, that you say I'm a phony, then that's exactly my mission, Shadow. My mission is to get you to open up your brain so you go start looking things up. So don't just trust what I have to say, okay? Call me a phony. I'm a phony. Don't trust anything what I have to say. But I do say go look it up. Look up everything. In fact, if there's a Bible verse that you need to read, it's 1 Thessalonians 5, verses 21 and 22. And it says, test everything. In other words, examine everything carefully. Okay? Examine everything carefully. and abstain from everything that is evil. Turn toward that which is good and is the truth. First Thessalonians, I'm probably messing it up just a little bit, but you'll get the gist of it. First Thessalonians 5:21 and 22. Test everything. So Shadow, call me a phony, do what you want. I'm here providing information that I think is true and logical, and if it's not true, I'm walking through it. So we're on this journey together, Shadow. I don't know it all. I'm learning just like you are. But you're here to open up your brain and get you to start looking into some things, because you are being bamboozled by buffoonery, whether it's from me, the phony you're calling me, or it's from somebody else. Okay? So open up your brain and start looking. I've taken B complex for 40 years. Is this good or bad? I don't know if you need B complex. I don't know. But you've made it 40 years. I mean, maybe it's okay. I don't know. Laura, can't you tell by listening to her that she knows exactly what she's talking about? Well, but I could be faking you, Laura. I could be. I could be faking you guys out, but I'm surely not doing it on purpose. I used to be the person or the doctor that would, that mainly believed everything you said because it was a guideline. And if the guideline said it was so, then it was so. And then I started challenging the guidelines, and boy, did that turn out to be something. Yeah, I understand that, Jack. You're right. Yeah, I agree. I don't like name calling. I was called names this past week, and it doesn't feel good. That's called an ad hominem attack. That's a logical fallacy where you don't question the information that's coming out, but you will attack by calling names. And so I think we should all refrain from that, because it's an ad hominem attack. And, you know, there's other attacks, attack on authority. Just because I have a deal behind my name does not mean that what I say is true, or that what the information I'm giving is accurate. So that's why the mission for me is to get you to open your brain and start looking things up instead of being bamboozled, okay? Lana, it's been broken up into 3 different parts, so I probably will not post this to watch later. There's too many parts to it that I didn't save the other parts, okay? So if you want the full one, go to YouTube and watch it through there, okay? Yesterday's did not get posted either because it broke up like 5 or 6 times. Anne says, Repatha is awesome. Awesome for what? Dad had rhabdo on statins. Ask your doc about it. He has no side effects. Cholesterol under control. What is under control? See, this is where Anne believes that cholesterol is the cause of her dad's heart attack. Anne believes that if you lower cholesterol in herself, then she's going to prevent a heart attack. So whatever medicine that she needs to take or her dad needs to take, the goal is to lower cholesterol. So that is the lipid hypothesis of coronary artery disease. If that were the case, my dad was on a statin for years and years and years. He had 5-vessel disease, heart attack. So is it a study of one, N is 1? Yep, but I bet if I count all of my patient population, the ones with the lowest LDL were still having heart attacks in the hospital, okay? But if I ask, what did all of those people have in common? I bet if we were to check and go back into the corpses and all resistance. So Anne, I would ask you and ask your dad, what is his insulin level? Because his LDL does not measure his risk of having a heart attack as much as his insulin level does. And Repatha or any of the PCSK9 inhibitors do not touch insulin. It's a dietary thing. If cholesterol, yeah. And the reason he got rhabdo is because he was on a statin, which blocked the mevalonate pathway, which blocked CoQ10 production. That's why he got that. Sean says, if we lower triglycerides to 70 and HDL to 70, then we create more fluffy, less dense particles, and this is related to A1C. It's related to, yeah, it could be related to A1C. If you have low triglycerides and high HDL, your A1C is likely to be lower. Your insulin is likely to be lower. Your small, dense LDLs are likely to be lower. Hi, Prismo. Thank you for being here. Marquetta is from Saginaw, Michigan. Go Blue. Are you going to watch the game today? We have a Tennessee Vol in the crowd here as a listener. You're welcome, Shadow. Dynamis, hello everyone. Finally made a Sunday stream. Thank you, and happy that you're here. Yeah, Mr. Cat, I am a doctor, but I really think you need to see your doctor in regards to your symptoms. I am a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. This is for information purposes only. It is not medical advice. You're very welcome, Laura. Thanks for being here. Functional iron deficiency, despite high ferritin, also inflammatory markers are in check, as well as kidney function. Additionally, IgG for gut is okay. It manifests in chronic mild anemia. Or check a copper level, a vitamin A, a vitamin D, a ceruloplasmin, and check a hepcidin level or hepcidin level. You could have trapped iron in your liver. Ferritin could be high or it could be low. Iron could be low, and you will have all of your iron stuck in your tissues, especially the liver. So you have trapped iron, and it displays itself as anemia. I don't think there's really any iron deficiency anemias out there, unless you're bleeding to death or from a car accident. But you can look into that. I would definitely get some more tests. I would get a GGT and check your liver. ALT, AST, check your liver. Yeah, there's probably a lot going on that you're not really in tune with. I don't know, but I'm doubting that you are manifesting as chronic mild anemia. We need to get the trapped iron out of the liver so it can be used to make hemoglobin and provide oxygen and do all of it, carry all of its nutrients. You need healthy red blood cells. Thoughts on Prozac? It's an SSRI, fell into a depression. I'm trying to work on it with Prozac. Well, you're not going to really work on it with Prozac. That's a SSRI is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. We have a lot of serotonin receptors in our gut. So you have to ask yourself, how is your gut? Could that be the problem with your problem with serotonin? What is the cause of your depression? I would peel back the onion and go back and ask a lot of questions. Why do you have depression? Well, because and then why do you have that? Because. Why do you have that? Because. And you'll go back, and you'll start figuring out and walk through why you are depressed. And it's deeper than just 5 questions, okay? Just taking Prozac is interfering with it might not be a serotonin problem at all, but you're masking it as such. It could be your gut. So you want to lower inflammation in your gut. I mean, there's a lot of things. If you guys want to consider a consultation, I can talk through it with you. Just email me at ironladydoc@aol.com. Prismos, do women get hernias? Yes, they do. They get femoral hernias and inguinal hernias. Yeah, Richard, critical thinking and critical analysis. I agree. We all need to be doing that. Thank you, MT. I appreciate that. John says, what can be done for diabetes? You need to work on your diet. Diabetes is a toxicity of carbohydrates. So alcoholism is toxicity of alcohol. What do you do for alcoholism? You get rid of the alcohol. If diabetes is toxicity of carbohydrates, what do you do for diabetes? It's a simple question. Let's see. C-Star, What do you think about Morley Robbins? You sound similar in ideas. I haven't been or needed a doctor since following his profile. Enjoy listening to you. Thank you. I think you can glean a lot of information from Mr. Morley Robbins. I believe he's an intelligent man, and he has a lot of information to share with us. And even if he's wrong, it gets you to open your brain, didn't it? And now you're starting to see others that might corroborate or correlate with his ideas as well. So it's interesting, isn't it? All of these things can be it takes time looking into things. C-star, right? It takes time, but it sure is worth it. It sure is worth it. Cholesterol is a huge part or reason why people aren't getting some specific types of cancers. You're right. I mean, we need LDL for our immune system. And I mean, cancer's on the rise. Could it be from our diet, sugar, inflammation, all the medications we're putting in our body, the things we're breathing in the air, the foods we're eating? Oh my gosh. Baby, it could go on and on and on. But again, you have to look at what they fed us information-wise and then followed up with it with a medicine and just the way of thinking. If I keep delivering you information, LDL is the cause of heart disease. LDL is the cause of heart disease. I tell you in your sleep. I tell you on the TV. I tell you on the radio. I tell you in the doctor's office. I keep telling you that cholesterol needs to be lowered to this or lower, 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 lower. And then that doesn't work, ApoB. And if that doesn't work, it's LP little a. And if that doesn't work, it's got to be something else. But here's your medicine. You guys, we're taking in the poison via food and the air and the water, all of it. And then they're giving us more poison by treating it. And they're telling us that we can't fix it, that you need them. You have to rely on them. They are the only ones that can fix you. Take my medicine, take this, don't do that. In fact, they give you the opposite diet. They'll give you more carbohydrates, more grains, more glyphosate. Do you think people out there are buying organic grains? No, they're buying more chemicals just because they told you to take that, because that's what's going to help your heart disease. Don't eat meat. You should never eat meat. Meat is saturated fat, and saturated fat's going to be the problem. No, it's not. No, it's not. If anything, it's polyunsaturated fats. Okay? It's the polyunsaturated fats that have double bonds, and the double bonds get oxidized, and the oxidized we don't have enough antioxidants to take care of all the oxidation that's going on in our body. We got so much reactive oxygen species, we can't account for it all. And we just keep eating more and breathing more and drinking more and doing all the things. Oh, little one. Okay, so yes, the brain needs fats. You're absolutely right. Yeah, 1910, 83 people. Actually, it's 95 people are listening right now. To click the algorithm, just hit the thumbs up right now. Subscribe. Check and see if you're subscribed. Hit the thumbs up right now. All 93, all 102 of you. There you go. There's some more. There we go. Thank you. Yep, just eat meat. Meat and bone broth and everything that goes from head to toe on a cow, nose to tail, okay? Eat all of it. The organs, the collagen, all of it. Well, Rachel, if you're if you think you're a machine and don't want to bother, that's fine. I mean, you luckily God gave you free choice, and you're using your free choice to not bother, and that's fine. So, I don't know why you would even be sitting here watching us. You could be eating ho-hos and bonbons on your couch. There should be no reason to even listen, because it would just overwhelm your brain. And so why be overwhelmed? Just go do what you want to do, and why bother? So that's what I'm thinking. Congratulations, Richard, on the alcohol-free. That's awesome. Cold turkey. Yeah, that's a good idea, BB. getting the heavy metals out. Yeah, it makes me happy, Lucy, that there are people here. It tells me that people are investing in their health and they want to make changes, even if they're here for just a few minutes. Can I see my email? Yeah, it's ironladydoc, IRON. So Iron Lady, LADY, doc, DOC at AOL.com. But with diabetes, you need carbs. No, you don't. You've been told that you need carbs because you're giving a certain amount of medicine. So eat the carbs and take the medicine around it until the medicines don't work anymore, and then you need insulin. Type 2 diabetes is already hyperinsulinemia, and doctors are treating with more insulin. Insulin causes growth of things. Insulin causes mTOR to go up. mTOR is also a growth hormone. If we have high insulin, we increase our risk of not only diabetes, but cancers and dementia and everything else in between. Arthritis and kidney disease, everything. You don't need diabetes. Okay. There's essential fatty acids. There's essential amino acids. There are no essential carbohydrates. You can live without them for the rest of your life, and it has nothing to do with your diabetes. Okay. If you are a type 1 diabetic, you have no insulin. If you're a type 2 diabetic, you have too much insulin. So a type 1 must dose insulin in order to survive. A type 2 needs insulin, just not as much as they have. So you are eating foods that require insulin. And the more foods that require insulin, the more insulin it takes. And the more insulin you have, the more injury to your lining of your arteries you are obtaining, okay, or causing. So that is a myth. That's, yeah, that was Tootie. You got it. She is a whiner. And yes, I set her out 2 hours ago to go to the bathroom, but she knows that she can get to me with the little whining, and she thinks that and you know what? We'll go out, and all she wants to do is sit in the sun. And we have sun right now. Praise the Lord on that. So, oops, somebody just hit their head. Okay. Thank you, Math. I appreciate that. Yep, you guys click the subscribe. And thank you for the gift, Jews. I didn't see it. It was on there and so fast. Take cholesterol medicines, then no hormones. So go on hormone replacement therapy, right? Then you get liver damage and take more medicine. You know what that's called, Colin? Whack-a-mole. That's called whack-a-mole medicine. I call that whack-a-mole. Just like you get bamboozled by the buffoonery, that is called whack-a-mole medicine. You take this, you get that, and then you take that to fix that and fix that and fix that, and it's on and on and on. And pretty soon you're on a blood pressure medicine, a depression medicine, a diabetes medicine, a heart medicine, all the medicines. You got an eye medicine and a nose medicine and a throat medicine and a heartburn medicine and a GI medicine. You got them all. You got a pooper medicine and you got a diarrhea medicine. You got it all. You got it all. It's just one after the other, after the other, after the other. And we are so demanding of that type of medicine. Whack-a-mole. That's what the health system should be called, whack-a-mole. All right. Crystal is listening from Las Vegas. Hi there. Math, I don't know about Saladino, nor do I care. I would love to get a DEXA scan of his liver, and I would also like to check his GGT and his AST. I mean, he's working out daily. He's climbing, he's doing those things. He could have enough muscle mass to take up the fructose, but he's also glycating 10 times faster with fructose than glucose. So he's aging himself. We're all aging, trust me, I'm aging as we speak. But, just start looking at their skin, look at their wrinkles, look at their neck. There's so many things that, you can be looking at. But, no matter what he said or anybody said about fruit, I'm not putting fructose in my body, ever, never. I think I've had 2 blueberries in the last year, 2. I'm not going to do it. There's no nutritional value. I don't need them. Kayla, it's just going to take time. I happen to go cold turkey. Not a lot of people can do it, but I was so used to it when I was bodybuilding. I would eat ice cream and cookies on a Sunday, and then Monday I would start my diet for 16 weeks. So I'm used to just going cold turkey. But Kayla, you don't, you can't imagine a life without carbs because you're addicted to them, but they have no nutritional value. They are not essential. Diane is now, was stage 3 and now at a 62, so that's stage 2 GFR. So that's good. You went all organic and replaced your old doctor. That's good. That's awesome. So you know what fixes your kidneys. Are sweet potatoes and white potatoes okay? Where do sweet potatoes and white potatoes grow? They grow in the ground. In fact, they grow under the ground where they're soaking up every heavy metal that you could possibly consume. And yeah, rice as well. It goes in rice paddies from runoff in the troughs of mountainsides. So all of the runoff is going right into your rice. Those are definitely, potatoes and rice are two things that I would never consume. But that's me. And Marquetta from Michigan, my dad, I remember he would always say that he would pick berries in the summer as one of his summer jobs. And when I was in softball, he would say that I had a berry picking tan because I had, for those in Michigan, we call it a farmer's tan in Iowa, but in Michigan, they call it a berry picking tan. At least that's what we did when we were kids. So Kayla says, is there anything you can do for cirrhosis of the liver? There's only chance can tell is get rid of insulin and see if your liver can regenerate. It maybe has a little piece that it can bloom. You don't need antioxidants if you don't have a lot of reactive oxygen species, BB. So we need some reactive ROSs in our body. We just don't need as many. People who eat inflammatory diets have a lot of ROS, so they need a lot more antioxidants because the antioxidants they do have are being used up on the crap diet that they're eating. So if you eat a diet that's anti-inflammatory, like an animal-based diet, you don't require as many antioxidants, so your body's making enough. So you don't need to be eating crap berries that have been grown in the ground, soaking up a bunch of crap and being exposed to glyphosate. Even though it's organic, it blows in the air and deposits itself on all the plants. At least I'm going to eat plants as long as they're filtered through a cow, so, or a deer, or a sheep or lamb or bison or buffalo. But that's me. How do I feel about beets? It's a plant. If you want nitric oxide, stop using antiseptics in your mouth and get out in the sun. Use red light therapy for nitric oxide production. You guys, that's Tootie, and she's telling me that she does not want me to continue doing what I'm doing. So I'm going to put in, we'll stop here today. I am live. I'll be right there. I'm right there. I'm live every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central. And then I have reels throughout the week on Instagram and Rumble and LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook. I do it all. I get all my reels out. Just a teaching thing, okay? If you're on those platforms, please go to Iron Lady Doc and click the subscribe and click the thumbs up. Do the clickety-clack for me, okay? It helps. Jack, you're welcome. And Marquetta, you're welcome. Okay, I'll watch for your email. Tootie says, eat some fruit, Doc. She's never eaten fruit either, BB, but thank you. That made me laugh. I appreciate that. Tootie likes chicken and pork, and she'll eat a little bit of fish. She's not big on chicken livers unless I cook them really a lot. So, yeah. Lucy, I'm glad you got to be here too. Yeah, technology is amazing. I'm so glad. I'm glad you're home safe or going to be home safe. But we'll talk soon, Lucy, and thank you for being my moderator as well as Uncle Charlie. I appreciate you guys. So we'll call it good today. And thank you again. It reminds me that you guys are invested in your health, and I think that's pretty cool. That is Tella. Ow! 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 yellow is a Basenji dachshund, and Basenjis don't bark, so that's his way of singing. He sings. All right, you guys, I'll call it quits. Have a great day. See ya.